So in my last video I talked about if Rashford being sold would be a good idea or not. And in that video I mentioned two players who could potentially come in as a replacement for Rashford if he were to leave the club. And they were Pedro Neto and Michael Olise. In this video however I'm going to be looking at both players individually. I want to talk about both players' scout reports. And I also want to go into their styles of play and which one I think would suit United best. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Should Man United sign Pedro Neto or Michael Olise? And let's not waste any more precious time, let's get into this. So the first player I want to talk about is Michael Olise. So Michael Olise currently plays for Crystal Palace, who tend to play a low block and overall are quite a counter-attacking team. As of the recording of this video, Michael Olise has currently bagged 7 goals and has got 4 assists in the Premier League this season. And keep in mind he's done that in a Crystal Palace side who sit 14th in the table. And I feel like if he played alongside players like Bruno Fernandes, I feel like he'd get a lot more chances and I feel like his stats would be a lot higher. And something I also mentioned in my previous video is that he tends to get a lot of assists as well, which I think would be beneficial for Rasmus Højlund, seeing as he barely gets any service in his current United team. Now I want to quickly have a look at his scout report. I understand that this looks like quite a lot of just random numbers, but I'm going to break it down for you right now. So Michael Olise currently ranks in 90th percentile for non-penalty goals. He ranks in 93rd percentile of total shots per 90. He ranks in 96th percentile of assists per 90. He ranks in the 98th percentile of expected goals. And he also ranks in the 94th percentile of shot creating actions. Just from that alone, I think Michael Olise will bring a lot of creativity and productivity to this United team that players like Antony and Rashford are currently not providing. He also ranks in the 87th percentile of attempted passes per 90, and he even ranks in the 85th percentile of successful take-ons per 90. And also some of his notable defensive actions include the 85th percentile of interceptions per 90 and 87th percentile of blocks per 90, so he does a lot of defending as well, which is something I think is very important. Now I know these are just stats, but this shows me that if we were to sign Michael Olise, I think he would bring a lot to this United team. So yeah, overall I think Michael Olise is a fantastic player and I really hope Man United have a look at signing him. Which it looks like we might actually. Now the second player I want to talk about is Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto currently plays for Wolves, who have rather a heavy emphasis on transitional attacks, which is something I think Pedro Neto excels at. Now something about Pedro Neto that I also really like is how versatile he is. In my opinion you could probably play him anywhere across the front three, which I think would really help if we wanted to rotate. But personally I play him on the right wing, similarly to Michael Olise. So now we're going to have a look at Pedro Neto's scout report. So he ranks in the 45th percentile of non-penalty XG, he ranks in the 33rd percentile for shots total, however he ranks in the 99th percentile of assists per 90, and he ranks in the 81st percentile of expected goals per 90. So from this alone, this tells me that if Pedro Neto were to play for Man United, I think he would get quite a lot of assists for Rasmus Højlund. A bit like how I think Michael Olise would. However, he also ranks in the 63rd percentile for attempted passes per 90. His pass completion and progressive passes aren't exactly great. However, he does rank in the 91st percentile for progressive carries per 90. He ranks in the 69th percentile for successful take-ons per 90. And he ranks in the 63rd percentile for touches and progressive passes. And to be honest, his defensive actions don't exactly look great. Now, I understand that both of these scout reports are just a load of numbers, but if I was a scout and I was having a look at both of these reports, then I would 100% go for Michael Olise, just because I think he would add a lot more to United than Pedro Neto. But that doesn't mean I like Pedro Neto any less, it's just I think Michael Olise is more technically gifted and would add a lot more to Man United as a whole in my opinion. Now before I talk about where these players would fit in the team if we were to sign any of these players, I want to quickly go over the transfer fees. Now I know I briefly talked about this in my last video, but I feel like if we were going to sign Michael Olise, I think Crystal Palace would ask for about £60 million, give or take, something like that. So he definitely wouldn't be cheap. Pedro Neto on the other hand I think would come at just a little bit cheaper at around £50 million, which is still not cheap, but it's less than Michael Olise. And I think that would be helpful if we were going to strengthen in other positions as well. That extra £10 million could potentially go a long way. Now in terms of where these players would actually fit in the team, I think that right wing position is where these two players would flourish. I can't believe I just used the word flourish, fucking hell. More so Michael Olise, I think he's naturally a right winger, I think that's his best position. I think you'd get a lot out of him if you played him there. Neto, on the other hand, I personally do really like at right wing, but you can also play him on the left wing as well, like I mentioned in the previous video. I'm not sure about up front. Maybe he can play there, I'm not exactly sure. But if we were going to sign any of these players, my front three would consist of Garnacho on the left hand side, I'd have Rasmus Højlund up front, and I would have Michael Olise or Pedro Neto on that right wing spot. So in conclusion, if I had to sign Pedro Neto or Michael Olise, it would be Michael Olise. Not that Pedro Neto wouldn't add anything to United, but I think Michael Olise would add a lot more to United. I think he would add a lot of goals. I think he's more reliable than Pedro Neto because Neto's injured all the time. I think he'd get a lot of assists, I think he'd get a lot of goals, I think he's a great dribbler. I think he's the type of player that if we were to play for United, I think he would do absolutely brilliantly. So yeah, that is who I would sign out of Pedro Neto and Michael Olise. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. However, if you disagree with me or will have any other players that you would personally want to sign, leave them down in the comments. I'd be happy to read any suggestions or opinions that any of you may have. And if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, I don't really have anything else noteworthy to say, so I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.